Good afternoon and welcome back to the workshop here at the Art of Paddling. Today we'll be performing a common repair that's purely cosmetic and is something that you've been asking about. That is, of course, the Gelcoat spider crack repair. In this case, we have a small Gelcoat spider crack right here on this boat. It's a little bit bigger than the size of a quarter, and it should be fairly easy to repair. Of course, we'll go in and do a lot of grinding to remove the damaged material. We'll fill it in with new Gelcoat, then we'll sand, buff, and polish that so that you won't even be able to tell the repair was performed. But before we can do that, as with all composite repairs, we must make sure that we make preparations before we actually begin the repair. Our final repair will only be as good as the preparations that go behind it. So in this case, we're going to mask off this area of the boat to ensure that we don't accidentally scuff or damage the surrounding material when we're doing our grinding. We'll also use that masking to ensure that we don't drip Gelcoat anywhere else on the boat. We're going to make some preparations in terms of dust collection and material capture as we grind into the material itself. And of course, we're going to make sure that we prepare ourselves. So today we'll be using a shop vac to capture the dust. We'll still be wearing a respirator, as always. We'll have hearing protection on, and we're going to have eye protection as well. Today I'm just going to use my glasses here, which are made of impact-resistant plastic as my eye protection. But if I was wearing my contacts or I didn't wear glasses, or I was doing something that was more extreme, I'd also use safety glasses or a face shield. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and make my preparations and then zoom in a bit on the repair so that you can see it better. Okay, here's a closer look at what we've done. We've used the blue painter's tape to mask around the area. That's just going to help protect the rest of our boat. You'll notice that I've also taped the end of a shop vac hose right next to the repair. That'll be running the entire time that I'm grinding this area and will help capture some of that dust. Of course, that again is not sufficient in itself, so I'll also be wearing a respirator. You can see that this area is just a little bit bigger than the size of a quarter, the actual damaged area. And what we're going to do now is take a Dremel, and that Dremel will have a cone-shaped grinding tip, and we're going to grind out the cracked areas and very slightly bevel the little channels that we'll make. And that way we'll have a good surface for our Gelcoat to blend into and our Gelcoat to sit into. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with that. I'm going to back the camera up just a little bit so that I don't get dust on it, and we'll get started. Okay, I don't know how well you could see that, but I ground away the visible cracks in the gel coat and I took it all the way down to the composite layer. Now this boat is quite thick, so we didn't compromise the composite layer at all. And it looks like this gel coat cracking was caused by a few small air bubbles that were under this area when the boat was built. So it's nothing structural. I've already checked the inside and verified that the composite structure itself is solid. So this is just purely a cosmetic repair. You'll notice that we ground away the cracks and then I tried to bevel the edges around the gel coat repair. What we don't want is a very steep shoulder on that repair. That steep shoulder would be a spot where you would actually see the line. I'm afraid we lost just a little bit of video there. What I was saying is that steep shoulder would be a spot where you could see the line between the old material and the new material. So we want to bevel that as much as possible. I've actually come back with a piece of sandpaper and beveled it a bit more by hand. And I've also wiped it down with some acetone to make sure that it is ready for bonding. So the next thing is to go ahead and get our gel coat ready and then apply the gel coat. Okay, we've mixed up our waxed gel coat using the appropriate procedures and taking the appropriate safety precautions. And I've also set the boat up onto its edge so that this gel coat won't run down the side of the hull as it would have if I'd kept it horizontal. Now that this gel coat is properly mixed, we're going to go ahead and apply it. And it's a pretty quick and straightforward process. I mentioned that this gel coat is waxed. That means it's going to dry to a hard surface, not a tacky surface. So if I want to apply more gel coat later, I'll have to sand it, but I think I can get this in one shot. So waxing it was worth the effort. It's also worth pointing out that it is above 60 degrees in this shop. That's really the magic temperature for gel coat. I'm also using a dabbing motion to help get any air bubbles out of the gel coat. We don't want air bubbles in the gel coat. So I'm going to overfill this and oversize my repair. I'm also going to tip this boat just a little bit more. There we go. So I am going to overfill this. I hope moving the boat didn't ruin the camera angle there. The reason for the overfilling is it's always easier to sand extra away as opposed to having to prepare the boat again, mix a new batch, and add more gel coat later. Okay. There we go. That should settle out. Any little bubbles should release themselves. You can see that I did get a little gel coat on my masking tape, so it's a good thing I put it there. And once that has gone off, which shouldn't take more than about, say 15 minutes to actually kick, and then a grand total of maybe 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours for it to really get hard. Once that's really gone off, then we will come back, do some sanding, and then get into our buffing process. So there you go. That is the initial gel coat application, and we'll come back to do the finishing in just a bit.